Secure the rights to bodily autonomy. November 7th. If you're in Ohio, go vote. Better do it. I'm watching you. Better do it. Okay, so I live in the lovely state of Ohio, GAT, for Vosh fans, because I know I have a lot of crossover now. I won't be making a habit of that. But I live in the lovely state of Ohio. So we had, for a brief moment in time, something that's called a heartbeat bill, right? And basically what the heartbeat bill does is it makes it so that women who are, or anybody who's pregnant, cannot get abortions after 8 weeks, which is when the heartbeat starts for the fetus, right? Cannot get an abortion. It is illegal. With exceptions to the mother's life. Now, if you saw my abortion debate, you would know that the exceptions usually don't take root because of the chilling effect. And what the chilling effect does is it leaves enough room for these exceptions to be legal, but it still scares doctors enough that they won't participate the abortion anyway because they don't want to put their license and their livelihood at risk. Okay? And it is a very, very difficult situation that we put them in, and it's disgusting that we put them in that situation. They should have the jurisdiction to make these decisions. Now, the anti-abortion group, the forced birther group, is a special kind of disgusting. And so they don't just stop at abortions. They like intentional medical abortions. They say, if you have a miscarriage, right? If you have a miscarriage, we're going to find a way to punish you for that too. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, how can that be, Alec? How can you punish somebody for something that is entirely outside of their control and which may very well be very tragic for that person because maybe they wanted that baby, right? Most miscarriages happen to people who actually wanted to carry that pregnancy to term, you know? So, you know, it sucks that we even have to discuss this, but recently a case came up that we have to talk about, so let's talk about it. So, recently this happened. This was published November 2nd, so 3 days ago. Woman's miscarriage leads to abuse of corpse case before grand jury. So what this means is they're not charging her for murder. They're not charging her for killing somebody or anything like that, but they are still considering the fetus a human at this point in time. Because the only way that you can abuse a corpse is if you consider the fetus a human being. Now, what did she do exactly? Did she swing it around? Did she bash its head against a rock or anything like that? Did she hang it up above her fireplace? No. We'll get into what happened. So, Warren, Ohio. The case against a Warren woman charged with abuse of a corpse is now headed to a Trumbull County grand jury. Britney Watts, 33, was overcome with emotion Thursday afternoon after learning her case is moving forward. Watts is charged with felony abuse of a corpse, a felony offense, accused of trying to plunge a toilet after having a miscarriage delivery at 22 weeks while using the restroom. So this lady wanted the baby, clearly, and she was just sitting there, and then there it goes. There it goes. Nobody's fault. Nobody could have predicted or prevented it. It just happened while she was just sitting there on the toilet. This fetus falls into the toilet, and I don't know the exact details. I don't know if it, okay, so here we go. We're going to get into the details. She said she felt the baby come out, and there was a big splash, said Detective Nick Carney with the Warren Police Department. They are referring to this as the baby, by the way, which is improper. In colloquial terms, it's fine in my opinion, but if you're doing legal stuff, you have to make that distinction between baby and fetus. You have to. Forensic pathologist Dr. George Sturbens testified an autopsy found no injury to the fetus and that the unborn fetus had died before passing through the birth canal. He said Watts' medical records showed she visited the hospital twice before the delivery. The fetus was going to be non-viable. It was going to be non-viable because she had premature ruptured membranes. Her water had broken early, and the fetus was too young to be delivered, Sturbens said. Both the assistant prosecutor and Watts' attorney argued why this case should or should not move forward. The issue is not how the child died when the child died. They're still calling it a child, by the way. It's the fact that the baby was put into a toilet large enough to clog up a toilet, left in that toilet, and she went on with her day, said Warren Assistant Prosecutor Louise Guarneri. This 33-year-old girl with no criminal record is demonized for something that goes on every day, said Tracy Timko, defense attorney. Warren Municipal Court Judge Terry Ivanchuk found probable cause to bind the case over. There are better scholars than I am to determine the exact legal status of this fetus /corpse /body /birthing tissue /whatever it is, Ivanchuk said. Matter of fact, I'm assuming most of these issue ones all about at what point something becomes viable. Yes. And we're going to get into issue one. So this is just a disgusting, horrific, depressing situation. Nobody wanted this. So horrific, right? I can't fathom what this woman's going through, especially now that she's under legal scrutiny. It's disgusting. This is happening specifically because we consider the fetus a human, or at least some people do. Specifically because we consider the fetus a human. That's why this is happening. And that's the problem. The fetus cannot be considered a human being legally, or else we get situations like this where innocent people go to jail. You know, I have no idea who this woman is, but she probably works a productive job. She might have other kids. She probably has a husband. She probably has other family like parents and grandparents and cousins that all care about her very much. Brothers and sisters, right? All care about her very much. She has a life, is the point. A life. And now her life is compromised, very much compromised. It could be over. That's a felony offense. Felony for messing with a corpse. Imagine for 1 second seeing that on a resume. Are you going to hire that person if it's on their resume that they were arrested for messing with a corpse and charged with it and then indicted for it? I wouldn't. I sure as fuck wouldn't. I wouldn't. I don't think you would either. Nobody in their right mind would. So her life could be over if she's found guilty. And it's awful. It's awful. So this is going on right now. I did get into contact with Tracy Timko on Facebook. I have not gotten a word back, but I would love for her to come on and talk about what's going on to the extent that she can. Obviously, this is a very sensitive situation, but to whatever extent that she can talk about it, I would love for her to come on and give her 2 cents. So Tracy, if you're watching this, I sent you my channel. Please, I would love for you to come on. But yeah, it's just tragic. It really is. And then these disgusting judges and these disgusting forced birthers just really get my goat, man. They really do, to put it lightly. So let's move on to the next part of this, which is hopefully going to be a little bit lighter. Issue 1. Now, this may be confusing because I made a video about issue 1 back in August. This issue 1's different. There was a special election in August for issue 1, which tried to stop this issue 1, as it happens. In August, issue 1 was, we're going to make it so that we're going to basically compromise democracy. So that in order to amend the Constitution in the state, it has to be a 60-40 vote, not 50+1. So you have to have a 60% majority to change the Constitution. And the reason that they did that, which it failed, by the way, it failed, thankfully, but the reason they did that was to prevent this, because they knew that this would pass, because they're pussies. So they decided, we're going to try to get ahead of it. We're going to try to make it so that they can't vote on it at all, or if they do, it won't matter. And they failed. So now this only needs a 50+1 majority. 50+1 majority, sorry. And I think that we're going to get it because most people support abortion rights. And the ads that I've seen for issue 1 have been very good because they focus on, we can't make it so that victims are forced to give birth, you know, and also I'm pretty sure it has something to do with people who are underage being able to get abortions, because people, like the whole thing here, hold on, I want to pull something up. Let me see if I can find this. Hell yeah, this is it. Okay. Perfect. So I found the YouTube video. So these guys, see the language is what they're called. These guys sent me a letter in my mailbox. I left a comment. Okay, so these guys sent me a letter, and they sent a bunch of people a little thing. Not a letter exactly, but it's just a thing. You know, basically, it's explaining why they're against issue 1. So since we got the video, we might as well just watch it, right? Let's just stick it into the segment. Let's take a look.
What is Ohio issue 1, and what does it mean?
Issue 1 is a constitutional amendment, which means it will be added to the highest level of law in the state of Ohio. All forms of government, including the Ohio legislature and the Ohio courts, must conform to the words of the Constitution.
So what is the language Ohio voters are being asked to approve?
Every word in a constitutional amendment matters. When the provisions of this measure are challenged,
Agreed.
The courts will presume that the people of Ohio meant every word on the page. If definitions are lacking, or certain clauses are left intentionally vague, the courts will presume the amendment was open for interpretation.
Okay, so this is exactly what they sent us. It looked exactly like this, word for word. It says the word woman does not appear in this entire amendment. Okay, and it says Article 1 is the Bill of Rights. I don't know why they would point that out. Because I think that it should be in the Bill of Rights. Abortion rights. It should be in the Bill of Rights because it's so contentious and we need to state openly and clearly that you are allowed to have an abortion, period, end of story. So I agree with that. We won't go through all these. I'll just get like the bigger ones. More accurate title should be the right to reproductive decisions. Okay, I don't care. No parental consent for minors. Yeah. Well, also, I think that you do need parental consent unless the doctors can say, well, they came to me and said that their parents are abusing them or their life is at risk, etc. You know, doctors make those decisions. Any age, including minors. Yes. Yeah. I think that minors should be the focus, not gender specific. Okay. And throughout all 9 months. Yes. Once again, I need to stress, if a fetus is being strangled by its umbilical cord at 9 months, it could be right before birth. It could be during the process of childbirth that this happens. And this is not the only situation, but this is the one that I know. So I'm going to jump to it. It is possible for them to be strangled by their umbilical cord and not save it. It's possible for that to happen. And if that happens, and abortion is illegal, guess what? They can't get the dead fetus out because that's considered an abortion. And that's what these people want to outlaw. And it's disgusting and it can kill people. That will kill somebody. Includes group activists, schools instructing minors on sexual practices. Yes, I agree with that. We should do that. Undefined includes mental health. Yeah. And subjective judgment on abortionist. What's subjective about it? The abortionist is now protected by the Constitution regardless of the outcome of aborting a fully viable human child. Yes, good. They're really selling me on this, gotta say. Let's look at the final thought. The Ohio legislature will have no power to mitigate against the abuse of this language because this would be a constitutional right. Thus, the people of Ohio will be silenced on the subject. Cool. I don't want the people of Ohio telling me if I can get abortion, if I could get one.
What other
But yeah, they really sold me on it, man. Gotta say.
choice will they have? Many people have reviewed this language and have come away with more questions than answers. Here are just a few.
What is the new right being created and placed in the Constitution? Because the actual words state every individual has a right
Yes,
to
correct. They will not be as easily able to remove the dead fetus. Correct.
make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions.
Well, the new right is actually a series of rights called reproductive decisions. If this amendment were just about the right to abortion, it could have been written that way. But the words right to an abortion never appear.
How many rights are there in this amendment?
5 rights are listed: contraception, fertility treatment,
Okay.
continuing one's own pregnancy, miscarriage care, and abortion,
Cool.
which is last on the list.
Are there more rights
It doesn't matter which is last. That doesn't mean it gets the less priority.
than the ones listed here?
Since the language is insistent that the list is not limited to these 5 decisions or rights, what will stop a court from adding more items under this new human right?
Good.
How many reproductive decisions
Conservatives famous for their specific language in bills.
are there? And who will decide what others exist? Perhaps not today, but in the future. Is cloning a reproductive decision?
They're going to start getting into philosophical questions about things that don't exist. It doesn't matter. They're trying to distract you.
Are gender selection abortions a reproductive decision? Are gender altering surgeries reproductive decisions?
See, when they're doing this, so let's talk about this. Gender selection abortions. Let's say that you got somebody who comes into the doctor and say, hey, doc, I got a girl. I wanted a boy. Flush it. I'm not in the doctor's room with them. If I were in the doctor's room with them, I'd say that's kind of shitty of you. Okay? If I were the doctor, I'm not medically trained for that. I'm not ethically trained. I would have to consult with the ethical board and say, should we give this woman an abortion? But here's the thing. A woman or whoever should be allowed to detach something from their body whenever they want and for whatever reason they want. So if that means, you know what? I'm going to bite this bullet. If that means that they do not want a girl, yes, they should be allowed to have that abortion. Period. End of story. Is it a shitty thing to do? Yes. But I stand by that. And that's my conviction. The problem there is not the abortion. The problem is the reason for it. That's their right.
Abortions a reproductive decision? Are gender altering surgeries reproductive decisions?
What about children?
This amendment only talks about
That's not
individual-
true, Alec. No law considers removing a dead fetus as an abortion or would make it impossible. Okay, let's paint a scenario. Ready? Doctor is giving birth to a woman who's in labor. Woman tries to give birth. Fetus gets strangled. Fetus dies inside of the woman. She's trying to push it out, but she can't. Doctor says, okay, well, the fetus has no chance of survival. We have to remove it via abortion. Okay? Fetus comes out dead. Dead baby. Whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. At that point, it's just a distinction of where it's at within or without the body, right? So, dead baby. So now you have to explain. Now there's going to be an investigation. So typically, you could just document that as a botched pregnancy, right? A botched birth. It went wrong. Baby got strangled. Nobody could stop it. It's dead. And that's it. Medically, that would be it. But now you have to report that to the state. And the state's going to come in and they're going to investigate. And they're going to say, okay, well, can you prove that you didn't just kill this baby? Can you prove it? And if the doctor can't prove it, they'll arrest him. Because usually the doctor just says, well, my charting is all right there. I didn't take any, I don't have any pictures or anything. All I can tell you is that this is what happened. And then they'll arrest him. They'll arrest him, especially if he's in a red state. So I don't buy that bullshit. Sorry.
There is no protection for children in any of the language. Whatever benefits are available to every individual are also available for children, who legally are individuals.
Is there a provision made for parental rights?
No, parents are not mentioned in this amendment at all.
Can the Ohio legislature modify or regulate this language?
No. The state is prohibited from interfering in any way with an individual's exercise of the right to reproductive decisions.
Good.
Or interfering
really
with
selling
any
me.
person or entity that assists an individual exercising
Really selling
any
me.
of the 5 rights on the list.
Is there some form of exception?
There is. It reads this way. Unless the state demonstrates that it is using the least restrictive means to advance an individual's health in accordance with widely accepted and evidence-based standards of care.
What does that sentence even mean?
Great question. It looks like that's what a court will have to decide because there is no further definition or explanation given.
Time out.
Okay.
Ohio has lots of existing laws on the books regarding abortion, parental consent, and the protection of minors. What happens to these laws?
That is true. And all of those laws are statutes. A new right placed in the Constitution calls all of those laws into question. Every one of them is subject to review based on the new right of reproductive decisions.
Will abortion be
Good. That's how laws work. We should, as time moves on, we get better at this shit. Okay, one day cloning is going to be possible, and we're going to have to figure out ethically what's correct about that. I don't have to answer for that right now. All I care about right now is that a mother of a fetus who has that fetus attached is allowed to remove it at any point for whatever reason they want. Period. End of story. That's it.
legal throughout all 9 months of pregnancy?
That's my stance.
The amendment does not use those exact words, but states only that abortion may be prohibited after fetal viability. Note, the law does not read that abortion shall be prohibited after fetal viability, so it may or may not be prohibited.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Decides on the viability of an unborn child?
The definition of viability is left solely in the hands of the physician treating the pregnant individual. If that physician decides aborting a viable human child is necessary to protect the patient's life or health, no one can prohibit the procedure.
What are the rules?
Wait. Hold on. Let me redo that.
Treating the pregnant individual. If that physician decides aborting a viable human child is necessary to protect the patient's life or health, no one can prohibit the procedure.
Good. Who would prohibit it? Okay, so a team of doctors, or a doctor even, says if this person tries to give birth, they'll die. And you want to tell me that shouldn't be allowed? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what's going on? Oh, okay. Well, at least they're saying it. They're saying it. There you go.
What are the rules on determining viability?
Fetal viability means the point in a pregnancy when, in the professional judgment of the treating physician, the fetus has a significant likelihood of survival outside the uterus with reasonable measures.
What are reasonable measures? How are they defined?
They are not defined. This is to be determined by the treating physician.
Yeah, because it's a gradual process and there's no exact criteria for determining viability. Like, you can try, but at 22 weeks, about 22 to 24 weeks is where it starts to become viable. If I recall correctly, it could go up to 26, but let's say 22 to 24. So let's say you have a 23-week-old fetus, and mom decides, I no longer want this pregnancy. Whatever the case, doesn't matter. 23 weeks. Okay, if you have a viability law in place, and you say, well, we can't give you an abortion if the fetus is viable, you have to carry it to term, then you're just telling that woman, well, we're forcing you to carry this pregnancy. Because I don't, if you can save it at 23 weeks, I think you should try to. But you should not do so at the mother's expense of her life or her long-term health. You can't do that. Or even pain. I think that if it's more painful to try to save the life of the baby than to just abort it. Period. If it's going to cause you pain, I don't know the specifics of these exact procedures. But if it's going to cause the woman pain, I think that's grounds for aborting it.
Alone on a case-by-case basis.
What is the definition of life or health of the patient?
No definition is given. It is solely the discretion of the treating physician. No one can challenge that decision.
Does this
and as we all know, physicians love to kill babies. They love fetuses. They love killing fetuses, right? We all know that they love it. They're all after the fetuses.
Abortion
They're
providers
selling
like
them to George Soros and Joe Biden.
Planned Parenthood into the Ohio Constitution?
Not by name, but Planned Parenthood or any other abortion provider can claim exclusive legal authority to define viability and avoid
Good.
any form of liability for terminating the lives of viable children.
They're
the
really
legislature
selling
may
me.
not pass a statute regulating viability because this amendment prohibits any such interference.
Will this language be challenged before the Ohio Supreme Court?
Regardless of how many challenges are brought, the Ohio Supreme Court is obligated by law to abide by the state constitution as
Good.
approved by the voters of the state. They
Yep,
cannot
good.
unwrite what is written. Courts have been known to fill in the blanks, however. The court is obligated to protect and uphold every word of this language, no matter how poorly written or defined.
Who wrote this amendment creating the right to unlimited reproductive decisions?
No one has claimed authorship over this language. A group of Ohioans submitted
Whoever did it is a hero.
petition language to the state. Requests to the lawyer representing these petitioners regarding the authorship
I'll add on to that. Whoever did it is a hero, and I don't want to know who they are. I hope it never comes out who that person is because their life will literally be in danger.
of the amendment have not been answered to date.
Believe it
Also-
or not, there are more questions
Disgusting that they would even ask that shit. Excuse you. What? Oh, you're trying to send people on a f***ing manhunt for who wrote this? Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
than these regarding what these words will mean for the people of Ohio for generations to come. You can read
Maybe
the
there's a reason they kept that shit private.
entire amendment at seethelanguage.com.
Voting on this amendment in Ohio begins October
So yeah, there you go. Yeah, election day, November 7th. I'm going to try to get this uploaded tomorrow. It's November 5th right now as of recording this. I'm going to try to get it uploaded tomorrow to tell people to go vote on November 7th, which is what I'm going to be doing because it's extremely, extremely important because of, where's it at? Because of situations like what we talked about earlier in the video, right? We don't want this. This is savage. We are not savages. We live in a civilized society, supposedly. We're not savages, and we were not going to arrest. I'm not going to stand for people arresting women for having miscarriages, especially not saying that they were around with a corpse. A miscarriage is not the same as around with a goddamn corpse. And if you think that it is, then you have lead poisoning. You have lead poisoning. Period. So to end this. This woman does have a solid chance of being, whatever the word is, I can't think of the legal term, of being freed from this prosecution if on November 7th we are able to pass issue 1. There are other issues at play, but right, this video is focused on that one. So vote yes on issue 1. Secure the vote for abortion rights for everybody. Secure the rights to bodily autonomy. November 7th. If you're in Ohio, go vote. Better do it. I'm watching you. Better do it. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Right now, any money that goes toward my editor comes directly out of my main job's paycheck, and it is a little bit of a drain. I'd really appreciate if you go to youtube.com/AlecGunter/TTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos. You also get awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos and a sweet badge next to your name, a beanie badge. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.